I am going. I'm going to try to keep this succinct. All right. Last summer, there was a situation that I was witness to. I wasn't aware of what it was at first, but I saw the visualization. And it had specific ethnographic associations. I don't know, maybe somebody would consider it cultural property of Germany and some other country besides Germany. And it was in an automated assembly line manner. It triggered, or rather referenced, what had transpired as part of a congressional hearing wherein a member of Congress was addressing inappropriate activities that occurred on a social media site that involved her image or likeness. Sometime after that, two things were revealed. First, that there was a strategic time frame at work regarding an announcement concerning submarine cables off the coast of California. It had a term of 6 months that was coming due. It was set to go into effect by the end of June 2020. There was also an announcement from the Federal Reserve Bank regarding stress testing. This is a periodic review that ends up occurring with the Federal Reserve. I've been monitoring this myself for a couple of years and noticing specific trends and have had concerns that I've done, among other things, public comments with the Federal Reserve in regards to, and would have already been addressed, including in connection with what I have up for me right now. SMART, Office of Sex Offender Sentencing, Monitoring, Apprehending, Registering, and Trafficking. Tracking. We don't talk about trafficking anymore, or do we? Was that a mistake? Or was that a transposition? I see. The problem is that in the autumn of 2020, there was a conference in Austin, presumably regarding smart water. There has been a considerable discussion in the last few years about this concept of smart water. My concern has been that it is itself one of these efforts that takes something that is potentially capable of being weaponized, but tries to find some sort of alleged non-weaponization implementation or usage that can be hacked and it can be used for what could potentially escalate into acts of terrorism or some sort of large scale sort of social malady. This is a major concern, and at some level somebody needs to be keeping track of this. But shortly around the time that they started providing this information as a build up to this Smart Water Conference in Austin, for which I submitted a proposal that was denied, they ended up having these activities in connection with the election. And I was tracking at the time what was going on with the Supreme Court of Texas. There was a very specific and striking pattern, specifically regarding cases of people that were appealing sentencing for being prosecuted and convicted as sex offenders. This was a period of time during which, or following, the Supreme Court of Texas taking all of its cases offline for a period of time. I'm concerned that those instances are themselves violations of the Comptroller Code. But more than that, why would the Department of Justice have a database called SMART about sex offenders? Was this SMART database around in 2006 through 2008 when they were rolling out the E-Verify program? Is it one of those number of Department of Justice databases where you put somebody's name into a system and then just let it circulate around the database so you can come up with your own special profile? How long does the Department of Justice get to cover up for other agencies or departments, up to and including actual members of elected office, using potential profiles that are created as a composite of somebody's background check in order to try to extort them into agreeing to cooperate with their criminal activities as a demonstration of loyalty and denial of their due process? That's all I'm going to say about this for now. It's not very smart. This database needs to be taken down immediately. It should have been taken down last year. It should have been taken down 10 years ago. Until you remove this and you prosecute the implications, including in connection with DACA and DAPA and whatever you all thought you were entitled to do in the onset of, what is it called? Project Saddiqui, wherein you specifically registered people for their religious preference with an understanding they may or may not be more susceptible to enticement and to acts of terrorism. Let me tell you something. Having a smart database for sex offenders while you have a smart meter in everybody's house, including in houses where people might be trying to homeschool their minor children? Well, who's the terrorist? It is not impossible to talk about this directly and succinctly. I'm looking at you right now. It's my torturer. You could say, well, it's just a database. It's not a human being. Are you going to call it artificial intelligence? Somebody gets paid to develop and maintain this database. And that payment comes through appropriations, through Congress, that are approved by the Senate and then signed by the President. Every one of you is a terrorist. Every one of you is a sex terrorist. It's a very, very significant burden. But up until this time, you have done absolutely nothing to refute it or to provide evidence to the contrary. As a matter of fact, I'm going to check the congressional website today to see if the public reports in the news are accurate. But if they are, absolutely 100%, you agreed to auction off your own people after you sex terrorized them, including when it came to access to their water, including when it came to getting electricity in their own home. What do you expect? What is a reasonable response to a protracted campaign of sex terrorism orchestrated against you for absolutely nothing close to a just cause for years? What is the reasonable response?